Hello and welcome to the British Dapper, and today we're talking about Chukka Boots. Are they the ultimate year-round footwear choice? So within the last year I've received a number of comments regarding Chukka Boots and the wearing of Chukka Boots, and one person actually said that they wear them all year round, and that got me thinking, is it possible to wear Chukka Boots all year round? And I've got my own choice here, my own 3 pairs of Chukka Boots that I regularly wear throughout the year depending on the circumstances, and that got me thinking about other styles of Chukka Boots and whether they would be suitable under the circumstances and at what level. So there are things, for example, I'm going to talk about this one here, which is a crepe sole version of a Chukka boot. Now this has had a lot of wear, but the principle is the same with any Chukka boot, that basically anything that's classed as a boot is anything that covers the ankle. And with the Chukka boot design, it's the vamp is always covered by the quarter. So the quarter is laid over the vamp, and it's a derby closing system, if you like. And the soles come in various properties. For example, this one's crepe. It could be something more durable, like a plastic or a rubber, or it could be to the other extent where we've got a leather sole. And that makes a lot more difference. This one is Blake stitched, whereas you can get them Goodyear welted as well, which is a different way of doing the stitching. But the principle's the same. You'll notice the quarter is always wrapped over the top of the vamp. Some have toe boxes, some are no different to a pair of shoes. They can have broguing, they can have other properties on them as well. For example, they might not necessarily have punched holes for the laces. They might have something very similar like a cleated system or something along those lines. So the first one I'm going to come to is the very simple desert boot design, which is pretty much most people will understand as a Chukka boot or a variant of the Chukka boot. And it generally has a crepe sole. For example, Clark's Originals was with a crepe rubber sole. Very informal. There are other versions of this about, depending on what country you come from. But the principle's the same, and that crepe sole gives it that very casual, very informal look. So it's great for jeans. You can even wear them with shorts to a degree, but they are very much quite adaptable and very relaxed. I would suggest maybe more for the summer months than in the winter months, although don't be put off by suede. Suede can still be worn in the winter, it just needs to be treated properly when wearing it, and the conditions obviously depends on whether you'd want to wear suede in really wet conditions or not. But the next level up is a little bit more where we're using a rubber sole or something along those lines, and I've used this one here, the Clark's shoe, very much the same Chukka boot design, but it has a foam or a rubberized sole rather than that crepe sole. And these could be quite substantial rubber soles, very heavy durable ones. They could even be Goodyear welted with a rubber Dainite or Vibram sole attached to the underside of that as well. But again, they are very much an informal look. But they go particularly well with that casual, that business casual look. And the finish might be slightly different. You might have that moccasin top effect, but again, the principle is very much the same, still in a Chukka boot design. So goes really well for that casual sort of look, and again could be potentially all year round if you really wanted to wear them. Some have rand, so around the outside you might have a very thick rubberized strip, and that is just to give it a different look, but it also does protect the lower part of the shoe as well. And not uncommon to see something like that on, for example, the Sanders Chukka boot design. So the next level up is really where we're talking about a leather soled shoe with a little bit more substance to it. And I'm going to start off with the suede version of that. And these are Crockett & Jones, and a good example of a Chukka boot. Very plain lines, nice aesthetic, and you'll notice that again the quarter is put over the top of the vamp, which is the standard pattern or design, and we've got a really substantial leather sole on that. Lace enclosure, this is 3 on here, and it's not uncommon to see 2 or 3, sometimes 4. That's typical on this type of design. So again, that would be very much a casual sort of look. What I would say is once we start going into more leather based shoes, then I think the formality starts creeping up a little bit. So for example, still in that semi-formal look, then we've got a light tan version, and this is a Geoffrey West Chukka boot, and quite ornate with some broguing on that, but I think it adds a little bit of spice to what can be quite a relaxed look and plain look. Here's another one, a little bit more ornate, and this is Geoffrey West again, and this is in a burgundy red colour, and really accentuates the level of work, detail that's gone into the actual broguing. The next one I'm going to show you again, Geoffrey West, just coincidental, but these are a darker brown, a little bit more plain in design. I think that goes up a little bit more in the level of the type of wear that you'd be wearing. So this could be very much a business casual or a semi-formal setting where you could wear this with a pair of trousers rather than jeans or something along those lines. Maybe upgrade from chinos to something a little bit more like a dress trouser with this type of shoe. Another version of this is Geoffrey West again, but the principle is what I'm looking at. Here we've got less of a glossy finish. Whilst it's a little bit more ornate, it's a darker brown shoe, full grained leather, and it gives you that nice aesthetic, goes really well with that semi-formal look. Here's another version of that, still a Chukka boot design, but you'll notice it's more of a Cuban toe on this shoe. And again, this is probably a little bit more formal because it's using the black colour. That it's a little bit more like a formal look because we're using black as the accent colour, although it's still quite low level because you've got hints of red in that design, whether it be in the stitching or the undercut of the actual vamp or the quarter. So with this design, you'll notice this is Oliver Sweeney. There's a medallion, a brogued medallion on the toe, and quite a nice aesthetic on the edging of the actual quarter that's wrapped around. And this has got a very unusual cut. You can see here, more pronounced on the shoe. You get a much more pronounced cut on the actual sole unit, and this is very much like a spade shape, so it gives a little bit more of an Italian vibe. And goes particularly well with jeans or cords or something along those lines, chinos, even dress trousers that really look good with a wool-based trouser. But if we want to elevate that look to something where we might wear a suit with that, then I suggest we're looking at much more formal and clean lines on the actual boot. These are Crockett & Jones, and they are all black plain Chukka boot, and you can see where I'm coming from with the trousers coming down to that bottom lace level. Then we're talking about something that is not dissimilar to a shoe in look, and that could quite easily go well with a suit and that semi-formal look where we're going to wear a suit. I wouldn't say we're looking at the top end, most formal of looks, but it certainly is something you could wear with a suit quite comfortably, I feel. And it's not uncommon to see this type of boot being worn in the military. When we used to wear our mess kit, we would wear something called George boots, which is not dissimilar in design to this look. And that was for quite formal events. But in this case, when we're wearing a suit, I think we're looking at something that's quite a formal look and would still be able to be worn potentially all year round if needed. And we've come full circle now, so this is probably the most formal of looks for a Chukka boot I think you could get. You'll notice a very tapered toe, a chiseled effect on the toe itself, very clean lines on that, and full leather, full grain leather, black, very sleek looking. And I think once you actually wear a suit with this, you wouldn't really notice the lacing system and maybe not even the derby lacing effect. So I think this is probably the top end for a Chukka boot. I would say it's probably for a formal event, but it's not really the sort of thing that you'd wear, for example, black tie or something along those lines. This is very much that still not quite in the very formal of dress. Can be worn with a suit, no problems at all. But there we have gone through the whole range, what I feel of Chukka boots you could wear from not only seasonal, but also in the level of formality. So if you only had a pair of Chukka boots, or only chose to wear Chukka boots, I feel that you could potentially wear them for most situations. The problem is really if you were only limited to one pair or two pairs, what you would go for. And I think you're probably safe to go with a brown leather Chukka boot design, something maybe like this. That gives you that formality, but also you could wear that with a pair of jeans or a pair of chinos and quite an informal look. And then the next one up would be something along a suede version that is quite good in the summer months, and it gives you a range between, say, spring to autumn, and the more formal boots would give you something that would potentially carry you through the winter months as well, depending on the weather. So let me know your thoughts on wearing Chukka boots. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe, then please feel free to do so. We have a Buy Me a Coffee page, so if you'd like to make a contribution to the channel, then please feel free to do so. We also love constructive comments, so if you'd like to make some, jot them down below. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And if you've got a question you'd like to pose to us or you'd like an answer to, then why not jot it down? We'll try and answer your question for you. We also like ideas for future videos, so if you want to make a contribution and make a suggestion about future content, then please again, jot it in the notes below and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. The next video could be something that you've recommended or suggested. So until next time, take care.